Hello, welcome to Sports Cruise. It's a new year, so let me start off by wishing you a happy and a prosperous 2025. There's the sports show where we keep you updated as to, all the latest happenings in the world of sports. My name is Josiah, and like we always do it from the previous year, you don't have to forget to subscribe to our channel. That's our media group across the various social media networks. So on X, we're there. We're on Facebook as well. And then also on TikTok. Don't forget Instagram. We're also there. Yeah, so you can reach out to us via those social media platforms. And then also we're on YouTube at our media sports channel, where you have to subscribe and then stay updated with all the latest news in sports. Let me start off with some interesting news because I'm pretty sure that most people enter 2025 with so much optimism and then also some good vibes, but not for Barcelona in the La Liga, because the news reaching us is that two of their players actually haven't been registered for the second half of the La Liga season. These two players happens to be Pau Victor, the attacker, and then also Dani Olmo, that chap, the 26-year-old that Barcelona signed from RB Leipzig a couple of months ago. Now, what we're hearing is that, Barcelona actually find themselves in some financial crisis. So it means that after signing that's Dani Olmo from RB Leipzig, they were only able to register him for the first half of the La Liga season. So they were hoping that before 31st December 2024, they'll be able to complete, the registration of Dani Olmo for the second half of the season. But unfortunately, due to the financial, crisis and situation currently, they wouldn't be able to do so, which has left, both La Liga and then also the Spanish FA to actually take Dani Olmo off the official website of La Liga. So currently, if you log on to the official website of La Liga, you wouldn't find any images or any data at all of Dani Olmo. Why? Because currently he's not even a Barcelona player. Yes, he's a Barcelona player, but he hasn't been registered to play in the La Liga. And Barcelona only have until the 3rd of January to try and convince the La Liga and then also the Spanish FA to try and see if they could just register Dani Olmo to play for the second half of the season. Now, what we are hearing again is that Barcelona actually have sold, some section of their VIP tickets, so amounting to 100 million euros. And if that could work for them, they could have, or raise 100 million euros from the sales of VIP tickets, at least to try and see if they can push, the registration of Dani Olmo over the line. But what we are hearing, the twist is here actually, because if Barcelona fails to register Dani Olmo, there's a clause in his contract that could be triggered, and this clause says that he is free to leave. Because he's not being registered. So Dani Olmo could leave for free to any club of his choice. And what even makes it worse for Barcelona is the fact that should Dani Olmo leave, Barcelona would have to pay him his wages until the end of his contract in 2030. Doesn't make any sense actually, because we've heard teams from England and then also a couple of them from Italy are trying to get the signature of Dani Olmo should Barcelona fail to register him. So it doesn't look good for Barcelona, especially if they should fail to register him for the second round. He just activates the clause. It means that he is not going to play for Barcelona, but then he's going to earn his wages until his contract runs out, and that's quite a hefty sum, close to 50 million. It's quite huge, for the chap. Don't also forget that pain and agony could be doubled if Dani Olmo fails, to be registered, or if Barcelona fails to register Dani Olmo for the second round. It means that should he leave, Barcelona not only will be obliged to pay his wages, they would also be forced to pay RB Leipzig the remainder of that transfer fee. So you just look at it all, and it looks like there's no way Barcelona are winning over here unless they are able to raise enough money to register Dani Olmo. Doesn't really look good, but that is the latest happening in Barcelona as far as registering Dani Olmo for the second round of La Liga is concerned. Right, so let's now talk about one of the greatest English players we've ever seen. He is also regarded as a Manchester United great. That's Wayne Rooney, who had quite an illustrious career, from Everton to Manchester United, had a couple of stints with Everton back and then moved to the USA to play for DC United. Now, his most recent job was being the head coach of Championship side Plymouth Argyle. Now, after a couple of games in charge, it doesn't look good for them because they find themselves bottom of the Championship, which means that if they are not fortunate and maybe, able to appoint a new manager who can turn around their fortunes, they could be heading back to the League One. And when Rooney, didn't have any qualms at all after being sacked from his post because it wasn't really going well for him. We've seen Wayne Rooney, through his days at DC United, Birmingham and co. He's not really been a top-notch manager. Yeah, he's a fantastic player, but not really the kind of manager you'd be thinking, would be a world-class manager. But guess what? What we're hearing is that after losing his job at Plymouth Argyle, it looks like, when Rooney is thinking of taking, an acute turn towards Punditry. Now, you remember his compatriot, that's Gary Neville. After retiring from football, he took up a couple of coaching jobs, but they didn't really go well. The last one and the most notable one was the one at Valencia, where he ended up losing, a chain of games. Then he decided to just turn his focus to Punditry, which he's been an ace pundit. You can use all the best adjectives to describe, Guy Neville, with his Punditry job. But when Rooney, after realizing his fate and, coming to the realization that being a successful manager isn't really his thing, when Rooney could be turning his attentions to being a pundit. And what we are hearing is that it's most likely that he could be joining that Sky Sports as a pundit. And, it makes sense, perhaps considering what we've seen, the likes of Paul Scholes, the likes of Guy Neville himself, Jamie Carragher go through, then perhaps you're thinking, if when Rooney is failing at being a good manager, then, it would make a lot of sense to be a pundit. I believe you would also agree with that when Rooney hasn't been the best of coaches. Coaching perhaps isn't his thing. And, I think the punditry world would actually suit this chap.